The loop always gets me. Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 40 of Joystick Maverick. As always, I'm Ernie Hawkins, and joining me is Dominic Ervin. Thank you guys so much. As always, our episode is brought to you by Tough Wraps. Use that code Joystick at checkout. You get 10% off all your gear, supplements, and apparel. Thank you once again, Tough Wraps. Look at this, Dominic. This is a Tough Wraps hoodie. Eat, sleep, gym, repeat. So many compliments, especially from older people because they can read it. The text is giant. I think I mentioned this to you earlier. I was walking my dog with my wife and my daughter and just going around this lake near our house. Not a flex, just truths. But this older lady, she had to have been in her 80s. She's like, she saw me from a long distance, and I could just tell she was like, what am I going to say to this guy? And by the time we reached her and passed her, she was like, do you really go to the gym? And I pushed my belly as far as it would go out. And I was like, clearly. And I was like, man, that kind of hurt, actually. You definitely know I didn't. I don't go to the gym. And then I said to you, it was like more like eat, sleep, repeat. No, there's no gym involved. But no, I'm glad to be back. Episode 40. I feel like we have a topic here today to kind of kick things off that is going to be, we've talked about it before. I think J.K. Rowling up in Twitter and stuff like that. We're going to talk about the new DCU, which last time we were on the show, episode 39, we talked about Warner Brothers and Discovery basically nuking the DC universe. So it's only been, I think, 5 months ago since we had our last episode.
It's true.
And at least we've got like a positive spin going. And then we're going to talk about the upcoming movies for 2023, which I think are 9 different movies and different levels of hype. I kind of want to talk through them, but more than likely touch them in that previous DCU topic anyways. But then at the end of our episode, we're going to play a nice interview we had at 1 o'clock today. So you'll tell the shirts and the clothing is the same, but the lighting is slightly different. So if you enjoyed that part, hopefully you'll just bear with the beginning of that interview. It's getting kind of warmed up, just getting the feel for this guy. But we interviewed Hasan Cheaib. Cheaib, did I say it right that time? I don't know. Hasan from Venatos, really nice guy, really delves into his life and starting and growing Venatos, the gaming peripheral company. But yeah, let's kick things off. How you doing, Dom? It's been a while since the people heard from us.
I'm good. It's been a couple of months, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's been 10 years because, like, I started that new gig in June.
That way.
I'm coming up on like 9 months at that job.
Nice.
It's been crazy. You just got promoted recently, so you're like,
yeah.
With that, you bought a house.
Yeah, man. Let's see. Yep. Bought that house, had surgery. That definitely took me out. Hopefully, now I got that designer B-holes I always tell people that don't ever really ask. So, yeah, it's been a while. So, but we made it through the holidays alive. That's always good to hear. Actually, the biggest thing for me in my world when it comes to gaming is I got the OLED model Nintendo Switch. And what have I played on it? Wii Sports. That's just
Wii Sports is fire. So, I mean,
from the Wii. So it's great with like nieces and nephews because there's not a lot of mechanics to it. It's actually great for my 70-year-old parent. My dad, he's almost 70. He'll be very proud to say he's 69. But even getting him to play bowling was just comical, and I was truly, truly devastated that out of the 4 of us that played, myself and my dad were the oldest out of the 4, and we got crushed by my niece and nephews. So, some sports aren't for everybody, I guess. But and then I've got an Xbox Series S, and that's going to lead into our first topic. But
yeah. I mean, shit. You're like in 2023 now, dog. You got 2 gaming systems.
What? 2 whole ones? That's right. And what did I basically do? I just took one white Xbox off my desk and then put a brand new white Xbox on my desk. It's just a smaller footprint with way better graphics. It's kind of neat, but also kind of disappointing. I'm like, damn, this feels exactly the same. Like, there's no like pizzazz, right? It's like, oh, just another white box with a glowing Xbox symbol. But that feeds into our next topic, Hogwarts Legacy. According to the synopsis, it's experience Hogwarts in the 1800s. Your character is a student who holds the key to an ancient secret that threatens to tear the wizarding world apart. Make allies, battle dark wizards, and decide the fate of the wizarding world. Well, guess what? Spoiler alert: we know what the fate of the Wizarding World is, and clearly, whatever happens in this game does not nuke the future. So, at least we know we can't really destroy too much, right?
That's true.
Did you get the deluxe edition?
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah, same here.
I'm going
So you have
I'm going on vacation next Friday,
right?
and like the main reason I got the deluxe edition is so I could start it on Wednesday.
That's right. So it actually comes out, I think, officially on the 9th or the 10th. It comes out on the 10th, right? And then you actually get 72 hours. If you get the deluxe edition, the Dark Arts edition, you get all these different add-ons, and then you actually get 72-hour early access. So
you get it on Tuesday.
To your point, we're gonna start playing literally like 3 days. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, shit, yeah. I'm stoked about it.
I'm thrilled, man. I'm thrilled. Hufflepuff and proud. I'm married a Slytherin. What can I do? But you mentioned that it's basically you have to play the game 4 times essentially to actually get the whole story, because every house has its own little nooks and crannies and different storyline bits. But that's kind of neat to me because, if I'm wrong, you're Ravenclaw, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So you're Ravenclaw. Mahaffey is Gryffindor. So I feel like all 4 of us get together, we can definitely at least compare and contrast the different storylines together. So that should be cool.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've watched so much about this game over the last couple of years. I mean, this game was leaked 6 or 7 years ago, and you saw kind of like some alpha gameplay footage where it looked like a third-person action game, but as a wizard, and you're like, there's no way that that's going to happen, because like, why would we ever get something that we would want? And it got announced, and I was like, holy shit, this is actually a thing. And then like you start watching it more and more, and you're like, holy shit, this looks really good. And then like they did the dive in where you get to see all the different houses and the common those
common rooms.
The house common rooms, and like they're all different, and they're all in different parts of the castle, and the castle's massive, and there's a bunch of places to explore, and you could ride on a broom or ride on a hippogriff. And I'm like, fuck, this is like exactly what I wanted out of a Harry Potter game. Like, this is exactly, like, if it executes on just that, I'm happy. And like,
I totally agree, man. It feels a little bit like GTA and meets Harry Potter, right? Like, I'm interested in not only those aspects of it, but also like the behavior of your character, the way you behave in the game. Like, granted, we already know you can do all the terrible curses, but I want to know what really happens if you just start blowing fellow students away, just Avada Kedavra. I'm interested to see, is it a save point? Can I choose to save? Can I just decide to just go ham on everybody for like an hour and then just go don't save and go back to my previous point? So those are the tiny mechanics that I'm worried about, because I definitely want to just go savage and just be completely evil. But at the same time, it's me. It's that tune is supposed to be me in Hogwarts, right? That's the first time. The second time, I'm going to start wrecking shop. The third time, I'll probably do some other version of it. But I digress.
Yeah, I mean, and this game is marred by the fact that Rowling's been a piece of shit for a long time, and you have a lot of people that are boycotting the game, which I completely understand. I mean, being transgender in the world today is essentially a liability, and in a lot of places it's a death sentence, and having someone who has such a big voice to just be openly shitty about it and against it is heartbreaking for a lot of people, because I know a lot of individuals who are a part of not only the trans community, but the actual, the LGBTQ community, that these books and this material, I mean, they played a massively important part of their lives. And I mean, even to the point of my wife, where, she grew up on them, and we still love the books, and we go to the theme park when, we've been to the theme park a couple of times, and she's exceptionally excited for this. And, it's, you always go back to the conversation of setting apart the artist from the art. And
you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah,
it's
definitely
difficult to do that in a lot of cases. You have to draw a line in the sand, and if your line in the sand is that you're not going to do anything to support this world anymore because you know that J.K. Rowling is going to get a cut of it, then absolutely, I mean, more power to you. If you support this and know that you're coming from a place of supporting the devs and you want to jump back into a world that means a lot to you, then I support that as well. I mean, it's both sides of the coin.
It's literally the coin that we're spending.
You talk with your wallet, and I mean, if you want to do it, then more power to you. I think the thing that I get, passionate about is that the people that built this game have openly talked about how shitty J.K. Rowling is. They've talked about how they poured a lot of their blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and I think that it comes from a place of love. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't support that woman. I'm not buying any of her new books, even though they're all shitty. I'm not trying to put money in that woman's pocket, but I'll tell you what, it's hard to pass up a Harry Potter game that essentially lets you play Harry Potter in an open world of the castle and explore that castle. I mean, fuck, I won't pass it up. It's the whole Chick-fil-A argument, dog. I still go to Chick-fil-A.
I still like In and Out. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely, to your point. I mean, I think there's varying degrees, and everybody has their own, take on, separating the artist and it's their artwork or their work. I think even what's his name? Andrew Schultz or something like that. He did. No, not that guy. Fuck that guy. In general, just as a human. But no, I think it's Andrew Schultz. He did a whole comedy bit around like, he loves Michael Jackson, but he loves his music and it has a really big passionate part of his life in his childhood. And he's like, and he's aware that he diddled 12 kids or whatever. And the joke was, that's just not enough kids to diddle for him to really give a shit. He's still gonna listen to the music, which is a joke. I'm saying this is somebody else's joke I'm regurgitating, but I get it.
R. Kelly is one of the worst people in the world. Hands down. But what I will tell you is I challenge any person that is in our age demographic. We're talking millennial. We're talking anyone born in the 1980s on. When a remix to Ignition comes on, you're singing it. I know you're singing it.
We're all singing it.
You're absolutely singing it. And
I'll even sing the Dave Chappelle. Boop, boop. Beep, beep. Yeah,
but if you're in our age demographic and our generation, that shit comes on, you're fucking singing it as loud as you can.
Everybody's jamming. Everybody.
Yeah.
After the party is the hotel lobby. You know what I mean? We all know.
Right.
We all know where it goes. So I mean, that's again, you got to separate somebody from their hot takes and their work they're doing, which is a great segue. It's a great segue because yet another Twitter presence person decided to go frothing at the mouth around Pfizer. Somebody said Pfizer's basically the worst, and who spoke up? But none other than Shazam, Fury of the Gods star Zachary Levi. And I get it. I understand. Everybody gets an opinion. I don't have to like them. We don't have to like them. They're like assholes, right? They all kind of smell, but everybody's got them. But he doubled down on it in an interview around like prayer and the power of prayer. And I'm like, dude, if I prayed for my Crohn's to go away, I'd be dead. So
the statement that he made if he had thrown some context behind that, absolutely true. Yeah. Pfizer as a company,
the worst.
I mean, they're a monopoly.
But I need them.
They control a huge. I mean, they're definitely a danger in this climate. After spending 3 years in isolation because of a pandemic, without any context, it looks like you're completely anti-vaccine, which is a stupid thing to be. And here's the thing, Ernie, I don't get it. You have a golden fucking ticket. All you got to do is keep your mouth shut. That's all you got to do.
That's what I'm saying about both of these people. It's like you don't have to tell Twitter your thoughts.
Your money.
You don't. You really don't. Like hot takes. The minute your brain goes, I got an interesting thought. Go ahead and tell that thought to shut the fuck up, and we could all be happier.
Or just look at your bank account and be like, "Damn, I got a lot of money in this bank account." Or
seriously,
look at the screen in front of you that says Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and be like, "Damn." I'm a superhero.
We should all adopt a
Maybe
new
I should
rule.
shut the
If you're
fuck up.
famous, you should look at your bank account, and if the word of the subject, whatever that noun is you're about to talk about, the number of letters in that word, like trans, 5, right? If your bank account is more digits than that word is long, shut the fuck up. Pfizer,
Brother, I mean,
was it
Kanye West
6,
is the
7?
same way. All he had to do was
Yeah.
shut the fuck up, and he would have been up there
Jews,
as one
4
of the
letters.
greatest artists of our time.
Yeah.
One of the best producers, one of the best hip hop artists of our time. All he had to do was shut the fuck up. That's it. That's all these people have to do is stop talking.
Even all the letters in Judaism, he's got more money.
But be it quietly.
Yeah. That would have been great. He just starts walking around in just a cloak. He's the new grandmaster.
Fucking
Jesus, fucking Kanye.
Well, let's talk about this. Let's talk about
well, yeah, DCU. So kicking off so next our topic is DCU. James Gunn just dropped a 6-minute or so video, kind of outlining what this first chapter is going to look like and how DC is going to separate itself from the old and into the new. And which I definitely like the fact that they're leaning into the comic side of this. You know, we had Crisis on Infinite Earths, we had Dark Crisis most recently this last year. This is essentially the movie version of that, with Shazam kicking things off in March, The Flash coming out in June, which I'm still kind of like boo, because fuck that kid. Ezra Miller sucks. And then we have this universe reset.
Thinking about keeping him is wild to me.
Bonkers. I'm really hoping this universe reset, they just go, okay, how good or bad did the Flash do? And if it tanks or whatever, or if he just starts going on another rampage in that gap between June into August, they're just like, fucking cut him out. But after the universe reset, we get Blue Beetle and we get Aquaman 2. That's for this year. But the really neat thing is after Aquaman 2, which I guess that means some things for not only the Blue Beetle actor, but also Jason Momoa. But we get Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. And James Gunn essentially said, right, that if you're an actor in a movie and you're playing a character in the movie, you're going to be that actor in that show playing that character in the show. And if you're an actor in the show in the movie, you're going to be playing them in the game or as a cartoon animated version of it. That's huge, right?
Yeah, that's
super dope. Securing your work for a decade as a character. And I'm pretty sure, dollars to dollars, Dom, I think that's why Henry Cavill is not sticking around. I don't think it was like they didn't like him. I think that Henry being glued to a role for foreseeably the next fifth of his life, right, is untenable. And I think he is definitely trying to branch out as far as, the 40K Hammer stuff. And then even recently, he's got like a Guy Ritchie film doing World War II things. So like, I think there's a lot going on for him professionally that would make him not want to be beholden to this kind of burden. But having said all that, kicking things off, Creature Commandos, we got Waller, Superman Legacy, Lanterns, The Authority, Paradise Lost, Batman the Brave and the Bold, Booster Gold, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing. That's just for the DCU. Then there's this whole other section they're still keeping like the Joker movie, the Batman, Joker Part 2, and then the Batman Part 2, and Teen Titans Go, and actually Superman and Lois on the CW. So those are not going to be under the Elseworlds flag, which I love that. I love that you recognize, what, those are making a shit ton of money. We're not going to nuke those. We don't even want to touch them. Just let them be their own world. They're Elseworlds. Lean into it. DC has set up a roadmap for what you call this shit. Lean into it as much as you fucking can.
Yeah, I mean, so a couple of things. Mike says there's no way that they're keeping them in regards to Ezra Miller.
I hope so. I hope so, Mike.
Has come out and said, wait and see. Just wait till what happens. And I get that because James doesn't want to like torpedo the Flash movie. Knowing that this
right, you can't just say like we're getting fucking rid of that kid. Yeah, totally just tanks the movie. Yeah.
It's really funny to me that Viola Davis is the only actor in the DC universe that's probably going to stay as their character through all of this.
I think Jason Momoa is staying as Aquaman.
Yeah, but they're talking about him. He might need to be Aquaman after Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom. That he might.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after the reset, they're talking about how possibly he may be Lobo. which is what he wants to play. So I mean, Viola Davis has played Amanda Waller since the fucking first Suicide Squad with Jared Leto,
Bruce sitting there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, there's a couple of really cool things in here. Batman Brave and the Bold, they said, is based off of Grant Morrison's run where it's about Damian Wayne and Bruce.
Oh yeah.
So the fourth Robin. They also said that the Bat family will play heavily into it. So we'll probably see Dick Grayson, we'll probably see Tim Drake, we'll probably see Jason Todd, Barbara Gordon, maybe even Cassandra Cain and Batwoman.
That'd be dope.
That would be sweet. That's the project I'm most excited for. Who
would you cast as Batman? Just off the cuff.
Like, I don't know, because they're doing like a younger Superman. That's going to be in his 20s, and if Damian Wayne's around, then Batman's going to have to be in his like 40s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know who would play Batman. I've thought about it. Mike had a casting for Damian, but I think he's too old now. I think number 4 from Umbrella Academy would be a pretty good Damian Wayne. But he's getting old, and by the time this comes out, he's gonna be way old. So I mean,
yeah, that's a fair point. Oh, it could be a flashback. That makes sense.
Number 5. Superman Legacy could be a flashback. Yeah.
I think Batman, for me, I would love to see Jensen Ackles. I think he's earned it, man.
Yeah, no
shit, even at least a read for it, you know.
Yeah. That's a great.
Like he's been Red Hood on the audio. He's done great work there. You know, he even voiced Batman for a run. Yeah, so like he's got the legs, he's got the longevity. He looks like he could play a little older, he could play younger. But that's my hope. And then of course my other fan cast, which is a friend of James Gunn, for Booster Gold, give me Nathan Fillion. I mean, I realized he played the guy with the removable arms and shit in Suicide Squad Part 2, but I would love Booster Gold to be fucking Nathan Fillion. That'd be great. Such imposter syndrome. It'd be fantastic. And then Swamp Thing. What's his name? David Bautista.
The original show for Swamp Thing was really good.
No kidding. Yeah, I watched it when I was growing up as a kid. Even the one that came out on the DC network for a while, was decent. Yeah,
it's kind of upsetting that Titans is going away, because like,
I know,
as campy as that show is, I really liked the actors that played. Yeah, Chris Pratt is definitely going to play Booster Gold.
Fuck, man, I really hope not. I really hope not. I mean, that would make a lot of sense though. But I mean, that would be the role of a lifetime.
Chris Pratt hate train for a while. I did watch The Terminal List, and I really liked him in The Terminal List.
I guess there's a second season coming out, unless
there is, and a prequel.
I have no idea.
And the prequel is about Taylor Kitsch's character, who I liked even more in that show. That I want to see more.
Oh, I like Taylor Kitsch. What's his name? John Carter, right? That's the same actor, right?
Gambit.
Yeah.
From X-Men Origins.
Give me that shit all day. I like, my favorite movie with him in it, I think, is still Friday Night Lights. But you know,
my favorite movie with him
that fucking movie
is The Covenant.
Oh shit! with Sebastian Stan as the bad guy. Yeah, there's a lot of famous people in that one. Damn, and that dude went on to play. Shit, he was in. Oh, God damn, it's gonna bother me.
Winter Soldier,
the sci-fi show. Yeah. What is the name of that show? The Expanse. That's the lead of that movie. He went on to be The Expanse. But yeah, I mean, based off the comic they're rendering from. Man, it can't be. You know what I think. What everybody, a lot of female body shaming happens with roles like this. It's got to be somebody who's going to take that flack and just flip the bird right back at all the haters and be able to survive the toxicity. I mean, I agree. I say that as a cis white male, right? Mm-hmm. But I really don't have anybody in mind. Like thinking of a blonde that's kind of in a younger demographic. I mean, maybe like one of the Fannings, maybe. I can't remember
Boyfriend,
either one of their
Clark.
names.
Galadriel from Rings of Power.
Oh, she could do it. Yeah. Actually, that would be pretty good fucking casting. Actually, or like, yeah. I don't have anybody off the cuff.
What's her face? Millie Alcock from House of Dragon.
Okay, she'd be a great Supergirl just because she could age with that. Florence Pugh, if she wasn't tied to Marvel already.
Pugh and anything. Like, I'll watch anything with Florence Pugh.
By the way, that wasn't me saying Florence Pugh. That was our producer Mike chiming in from the from the comment section. But no, that's definitely. I mean, whatever she touches seems to be magic these days. She could even uplift the movie with fucking Harry Styles in it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So,
where does Pedro Pascal fit in the DC universe? Because we have to put him somewhere. I'm thinking maybe like one of the Lanterns, like if they brought in Kyle Rayner. Shit, even make him Hal Jordan. Make Hal Jordan Hispanic. I don't care.
That's a great question, man. I'm wondering if he'll fit within like the Creature Commandos or like the Authority. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those groupings. Because I mean, the Authority is essentially the Justice League, but like a bunch of assholes. Like
Wild Storm, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see where this goes. Obviously, it's just been announced. All you're getting is like this is made not even made by us, made by Heroes Reforged. I love those guys. So they did a great job throwing this graphic together. Credit where credit's due. Not my art. But no, I mean, like none of these logos are even official logos. So I mean, we're just kind of hoping for the best here. I think these are just straight rips from the comics, most of them. Commenter Mike whatever says Pedro needs to be a character that has to deal with totting.
That's true.
Toting a young child around dangerous situations.
Great point.
Oh shit, he is Bruce Wayne.
He is Bruce Wayne. Do you know how much money I would spend watching him play Bruce Wayne in Batman?
That would be awesome.
I would go broke. I would go see it in the theaters once a day. It'd be so good.
That would be ridiculously awesome.
It would be so good.
So I think he's got like a 5-thing run right now where, except for like Wonder Woman 1984, that everything he's kind of touching is turning to gold, right?
His TV show. It's like his TV show. His TV show run is like 4 for 4. Like it's Game of Thrones. What was the one after Game of Thrones? It wasn't Mando. It was Game of Thrones, Narcos, Mandalorian, and Last of Us.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow. Fuck.
It doesn't get any better than that.
To be fair, he's been in the business since like the early 90s, right? I think he was in Buffy for an episode. I mean, he's been in a shit ton of stuff.
He was the vampire that she encountered on campus at her college, like the first night she was there.
Yeah. And he looks so starkly different. You're like, oh shit, that is Pedro. But no, I mean, I like his star is definitely burning bright, but I hope it doesn't happen as like he turns into like the Sam Worthington III, the Chris Pratts of the world, where he's in everything, and then his his value his value doesn't go down, but it does become like hearing the same song on the radio over and over again. You know, you want that. I think Denzel said it recently. Like your value is in your work, not what you say. And then whenever you pop up, you just want people to remember, okay, the good work, not just that they see you all the time. So I like that mantra. So hopefully that works out. But yeah, so I mean, let me see. Anything else we want to? Well, the Lanterns, I think we already know probably Hal Jordan, John Stewart, just based on the cover art. Right?
I think that's what he said. Hal Jordan and John Stewart and a couple of others. I mean,
you can't tell me that cover art, that little sketchy dude for Hal Jordan looked a little bit like Jensen Ackles. And I was like, come on, man, give me Batman with that guy. But who knows? Who knows? I mean, it's funny. We were mentioning these people, and they've all done voices for like multiple characters in DC animated. For instance, Hal Jordan was once voiced by Nathan Fillion, right? Yeah. So it could be, who knows? We could be seeing a bunch of different things. I would love just any kind of shine for those voice actors to get back on the camera. Kind of like The Last of Us, right? They had all those different great actors for the voices, but the only people that made it from the game into the show are the guys who did the clickers. Like those are the same people. Everybody else is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, one person did pass away recently, but
Mike says Chris Pratt's playing Hal Jordan as well.
I feel like if I bring up any character, we all know that Chris Pratt's going to be the next voice of Banjo and Kazooie, both voices. All right.
What do you think about him hinting at Keaton? Also, what do you think about the fact that the Michael Keaton Batman movie was an adaptation of Batman Beyond, and that got canned? Because that makes me cry.
That's upsetting. That's real upsetting because that would have worked. Like it would have worked.
Most certainly.
Damn. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping Michael Keaton's work doesn't get scrubbed. I hope we get to see him at least in The Flash and a couple other things. Like just, you know, at this point, I'll be happy when things actually get made and released. Batgirl proved just because it's in production and a shit ton of money's been spent doesn't make a fucking difference.
Just because it's almost done doesn't mean it's ever going to get released.
Like, and it's even worse when James Gunn comes out and he says like, I watched it and it was going to do damage to the DCU. Like that's not great. Like where'd all that money go? And you can't blame it on. I'm assuming you can't blame it on talent or people on set or whatever. They're just doing their job. It makes you wonder where that fall and shit. Yeah. So we all know it was Chris Pratt who probably caused all the problems. But
yeah, probably.
And then just to kind of round us out, I did want to talk about the 9 movies coming out this season. So let me see. Let me grab my little list here. My listy poo. We just mentioned a few of them. But one of them is, okay, we'll start from just the top of the list. Things I'm kind of mostly hyped for and then all around the place. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Part 2, right? That looks, okay. I love the first one. I was so mad I didn't just see it in theaters. I was like, it's cartoon, I'll wait. And I was irritated that I didn't just go make that a theater trip. It deserves to be one. The Flash, obviously we already talked about that one. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, Shazam we mentioned, Ant-Man Quantumania is coming out. Aquaman 2, next week. And it's right around the corner. Aquaman 2, we talked about. Blue Beetle, we talked about. And then Kraven the Hunter. I've got a strong feeling out of all of those, Kraven the Hunter is very much going to be the Morbius of 2023.
Which is upsetting because I really hope that Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Kraven like he played Tangerine in Bullet Train. Like, I mean, he was so good in Bullet Train. So good.
I feel fucking Diesel. I fucking love that. That's his whoever played Lemon, what's his name?
Brian Tyree Henry.
He is awesome. He did such a good job. Yeah. And I can always spot a Diesel. It's great. So yeah, I mean, I to your point, man, I really hope it works out for him. I think I've seen a lot of his stuff being dropped in the public now with what's her face from the same movie, and him potentially cheating on his cougar wife. I was going to say,
she ain't even a cougar. She's like a panther.
Well, like, I mean, maybe just more of like she's a predator to a child.
She is a predator. Like, it very much seems like she is a predator.
And now he's a child raising children. So like it makes you wonder, like, how's that going to affect any of his work, or if it just makes him more like believable when he's angry in the film because he's probably pissed off that his laundry is out in the breeze right now. But
I really wish they threw him off in the MCU. I really liked him as Pietro.
Yeah, I'm so curious why they decided, hey, let's kill the fast guy. Oh, I know why. Because now every single mission, they'd be like, hey, do you mind just go wrap this shit up? And then, okay, that mission's done. Like, it would be too easy. Yeah. Like having Superman in the MCU.
It's like the whole Deus Ex Machina of having Captain Marvel in the MCU. And she's like,
yes.
She's got to save a bunch of other planets. That's the reason why she's away.
Yeah,
she comes in and fucking wipes out Thanos' army by herself.
Let's just send the most OP person out. Which is another.
No, I was gonna say, like, that's what they're saying. Like, the main villain of Thunderbolts, there's a rumor that it's Sentry, which is like the Superman of the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
but he's like crazy. So
interesting. having just watched Wakanda Forever last night and crying like a little baby, I'm definitely interested to see where DeFontaine takes all her little minions and releases upon the world. I'm curious to see
with Julia Louis-Dreyfus in it.
I'm curious to see how the transition from what's his name who passed away. God, I need to get better people's names. The guy who played
Thunderbolt.
Yes, Thunderbolt Ross. When they replaced him with Harrison Ford, I'm curious to see what that transition looks like. If any, I want somebody to make a comment. I know it's cheesy TV. Or like, oh, did you get your hair? Yeah, I did. And it's just really a whole different actor. Like it's like the whole, to me, that's classic.
It's like the whole Don Cheadle, Terrence Howard switch.
Yeah, it just happened when it was William Hurt. Thank you, Mike. Whatever. Yeah.
Did you watch? William Hurt. Did you watch Henry? Not Henry. That's his character in Indiana Jones. Did you watch Harrison Ford's interview with Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Fallon about him playing Thunderbolt, where he's like,
no,
and like Stephen Colbert's I think it was either Stephen Colbert. It's one of the white guys who hosts late night TV.
All of them
is like, can I ask you anything about Thunderbolts? And he's like, yeah, of course. You can ask me everything. And then like he starts asking him and he's like, I don't know. And then he asks him the one question that he knows the answer to. And Harrison Ford's like, I can't tell you that. It's like, can you tell us about your first appearance? And he's like, nope, I can't tell you that.
It's the same
Harrison
way
Ford always pissed off too in interviews.
If you look at his face, I think somebody said it, like they did a split. They were like, only Harrison Ford can just be staring at you and look happy and angry at the same time, because half his face like slumps down into an angry direction, whereas the other half looks like he's smirking. And I was like, once that person showed me that, I was just like, I can't unsee this. He's got every emotion now. And it was Colbert, according to producer Mike.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. yes. But yeah, going back to our list, like Guardians of the Galaxy, that's going to be a weep fest. I think it's the end of Rocket, probably the end of Drax, right? The Marvels,
I care
about
for
Drax,
that. I can give a fuck about.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's trying to be a real actor. More power to him, man. You know what?
Huh?
I'm not going to throw shade at you. You know, if you want to be respected for your body of work, and this is part of that journey for you, go for it, man.
Yeah.
And then Ant-Man Quantumania, I'm probably most pumped for like Spider-Verse, Quantumania, probably Guardians of the Galaxy, with like the Marvels at a real quick behind. Unless suddenly Michael Keaton's in The Flash, then of course I'm most hyped about that. But the Marvels I want to see, because I loved the Ms. Marvel show. I actually really enjoyed it. It was quirky. It was definitely unique, one of my comic book style. And then the hot swap with them suddenly being in different parts of the universe, that's going to be hilarious. But yeah, it should be a good year overall. But Ant-Man Quantumania, I wrote a blog about it on joystickmaverick.com. I'm interested to see where it fits in the timeline, right? Because in the quantum realm, time doesn't always work the same as it does up on the surface, right? So are we seeing the first appearance of Kang? Are we seeing the last appearance of Kang? Like that scar on his face, is that from one of these movies coming up? Or are we seeing the Ant-Man in Quantumania because he's seeing that Kang later on in his journey against people on Earth?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how the time, because Kang moves through time, right? So that Kang, it might be a Dr. River Song situation where she's slowly getting older as he's been younger. So when they first meet, she's the oldest. When they last meet, she's the youngest. So I'm interested to see how they play.
Is like fucking jacked.
Bro, I saw an interview with him about Creed, about that build. He's like, yeah. I stay between 197 and 200 pounds. That's where I'm at. I'm constantly eating chicken. He seems so zooted. Like if that man has ADD, he took all the ADD pills that day. He seemed cracked out, like talking so fast, or he was just like tired of saying the same story. So he was probably running through it really quickly. But like his explanation of how much it sucks to stay at that weight because you have to the whole film like be at this exact weight. You can't bulk up, you can't bulk down. I'm like, that's stressful. Like, fuck that. I bet he's loving playing Kang. He's just wearing like pajamas with like some technology on it. Like that suit is not like skin tight. It's just straight up like loosey goosey linens that travel through time. Okay, Mike said, I'm pretty sure Keaton is still on the Flash. Okay, that's fair. He does have to actually put a Batman suit on and spray paint it red, so that's fair. Definitely, they didn't just suddenly take out 90% of the story. But yeah, I mean, what any other movie that you're thinking of, or any other show that you're interested in coming out this year?
Ooh. Oppenheimer. Yeah, I mean, Chris Nolan's next film. The cast is incredible. Cillian Murphy plays Oppenheimer.
I was just gonna say, Cillian Murphy, man. He's definitely in the same run as like Pedro Pascal. Like everything he's doing right now is turning to gold.
Yeah,
that
looks good. TV show wise, I mean, Mando season 3 comes out next month, which is going to be great. The Acolyte, I think, is at some point later this year, which is the Star Wars show about the High Republic. So I don't, but Oppenheimer is probably my most anticipated film, other than the ones that you mentioned. I think that's going to be really good.
I'm honestly, man, I think we're back to this mode of everything is kind of back into its normal schedule, right? Where we're going to be getting a lot of these movies, a lot of the games are dropping around the same time. So we're heading back into our busy season. I love our little down period, around the holiday season. We talked about games to death. They come out before the holidays. Everybody buys them. And then we kind of get a little trickle of like January to February is that time where everybody's using those gift cards from the holidays. It's like, so we don't really have a lot of new shit dropping. They're just getting all the things they heard about from before Christmas. And now I think we're getting back into that momentum of here comes a bunch of shit. Because not only, to your point, not only do we get Hogwarts next week, the week after that, we've got Ant-Man Quantumania on the 17th. So,
yeah.
And then we get Shazam, I think, on St. Paddy's Day, which is just right around the corner after that. So I'll just be done probably playing Hogwarts, and then Shazam kicks off. So,
and then Destiny 2 Lightfall comes out on the last Tuesday of February. So,
that's true. Yeah, your boy's gonna be busy.
And I'm in the middle of a Warcraft addiction again.
Oh, sheesh. That's right. I still don't know what that means, by the way. I don't even know why they put their hand up when they do this. Sheesh. Oh, then Jedi Survivor. Yeah, that's right. Damn. Yeah. It is a lot of stuff coming out. I mean, we're barely chipping at the iceberg, but we'll probably see you next time after a couple of these things do drop. I think we're trying to get back into the rhythm of doing the show, getting more blogs online. So definitely head over to joystickmaverick.com. Follow us online. Follow us on YouTube's, on all places social. You go ahead and throw this banner up. Like, subscribe. Remember to click the bell. We're going to end today's episode with an interview we just did at 1:00. We mentioned earlier with Hasan Cheaib. Cheaib. He'll pronounce it correctly in the show. But thank you so much for the time again, Hasan. Dominic, thank you for being here for 2 different things today. And everybody else, thank you for watching. We hope you enjoy the show and the video coming up right now.
Bye.
Peace. Awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you for attending our show. We are so excited to have you here. As always, I am Ernie Hawkins. I'm joined by Dominic Ervin, and today we have a special guest, Hasan Cheaib. I nailed it. Third time's a charm, man. I'm gonna get it. Thank you so much for joining us, Hasan. I really am interested in hearing your story, and I know our audience is too. We'll just give a little background. We've only had, today's our 40th episode. We've been around for 2 years. Dominic and I started Joystick Maverick with our buddy Mahaffey because for me, I used to game all the time and then I became an adult and lost a little touch with it, right? I think it kind of happens for most of us, but we wanted to get back into it. And
Not me either.
Well, for me at least. Well, I started playing like Call of Duty and I just kept getting like name called things I've never heard of. And I was like, man, I feel old. So this is kind of my foray getting back into it. And Dominic actually really kind of struck lightning with my brain a couple of weeks ago with getting into the nitty gritty of a keyboard he just got, and he was like, "Dude, the keyboard and like mice, that's like an underground movement. It's like sneakerheads. Like people are all about their peripherals." A great example right there. So, and it happened to be relative to a coworker of mine. I was like, "Oh, so maybe that's really true. Maybe I'm just so out of touch that I just didn't even know this is a thing." But I've been following Venatos probably since the early days of the pandemic. So I wanted to reach out, and I did, and thank you for connecting with me. And now you're on our show. So please allow me in introducing our special guest today, Hasan. He is, you're a native of Hamilton, Ontario, and now you live in Cypress, Texas. Is that correct?
Yeah, in Houston, Texas. Cypress.
There you go.
A little bit outside. Yeah.
Gotcha. In Houston, Texas. You're the founder of Venatos, which is a new and exciting Canadian premium gaming peripheral brand with unique products that are not available in the market. Hasan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
So feel free to give us an intro about yourself, a little bit of background, just to kind of introduce yourself.
Well, we started Venatos during the pandemic. We wanted to create a brand that really is unique and isn't available everywhere else. Actually, one of the main reasons we started is because I was building I bought a pre-built computer along with some peripherals, and then I found out that the peripherals weren't as great as I expected them to be. So then I wanted to have a little bit more customization, a little bit more adaptability to other things, a little bit better for esports gaming. And then so I created the brand with a silent partner. And we started off in Ottawa, Ontario in Canada. And now we're trying to expand. So we moved to Texas to try to do that. We have a few stores that have some of our products, like Gamers Heaven and a few other small shops in the area. And now we have an online presence on Amazon, US and Canada. We just built our shop there. And we're just working on trying to get into Best Buy and some of the other tech stores. So that's essentially the summary of it.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate you giving us that introduction. First things first, happy belated birthday. February 1st is your birthday. You're Aquarius. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you're very welcome, man. And my wife was born in late January, so I'm very familiar with Capricorn Aquarius. She's always telling me why she's in a mood because of it. But no, I appreciate you being on the show again. And that introduction is great because it kind of leads me into a little bit more. It's more towards Venatos. I'm more curious about the beginning of you. So, according to Owner.co, you again were a native of Hamilton, Ontario, but you started playing games with your dad, with Mario Brothers on NES. Did he let you be Mario, or were you Luigi?
No, I was Mario, okay. But I did like Luigi more.
But for some reason, he felt faster, right? Like that's at least in my mind. I had an older cousin who always made me be.
I think he just jumps higher.
There you go. So tell me your story from there. I mean, I think everybody's got their own unique journey through gaming, right? Whether you were a Nintendo person, a Genesis person, or Sega, or you went PlayStation. What was your kind of foray through gaming?
Well, I would say I started off at a pretty young age, probably around 2 years old, 1 year old. I was born in Rochester, New York, which is where my dad went to school in Rochester, RIT.
Cool.
And he started off there. And then, we moved to Canada as he found some opportunity here. And then I started more or less, I'm very business minded. So I was, my dad had a store on the side and I was working there. And then I began, doing a little bit of renting out video games. I don't know if you recall, like back in the day, variety stores, you could go in there and rent out movies, right?
Blockbuster.
So
we had Hollywood Video down here in the States. Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, but we also had like corner stores that would rent out. They had their own system kind of thing. And what I did is I created like an offset of it with video games. So I would buy the latest and greatest video games, rent them out, and then sell them for a reduced price. So that was how I, about 14, 15, something like that.
Damn, that's what's up.
And yeah, so yeah, I was really into. There was a pawn shop beside me, but at the time, I think Blockbuster was giving like a minimum value of like $8 or $9 per game in Canada. So what I would do is I would go to the States. They had like these 25-cent, 50-cent games. I would buy them in bulk, like from EB Games. I'd buy like a bunch of them, and then I would go in and I trade them up for like $60 games. So I'd buy these $60 games that everybody wants to play for, a couple bucks, and then I would have an advantage over, the area, because nobody really can sell $60 games for like $40, for example, right? So I would rent them out until, somebody made an offer to buy them. And then essentially that's how I grew that business. And then I just eventually stopped. I went to school for business originally, but then I switched out to computer science because I found that there's a lot more opportunity, and I had the knack for it.
Now that school you mentioned, is that Wilfrid Laurier or Laureate?
Well, the business part, Wilfrid Laurier University, but the school that I started off with was York University in Toronto. Okay. So York University in Toronto is where I started for business, and then they had a strike that year. I think it was like 2008, and then from November till like February there was like no school, even though like we had started and everything. So what I ended up doing was taking the year off, and then I did my SATs to get into computer science, and I got accepted at Wilfrid Laurier University, and then that's where my tech journey began, I would say.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
The irony of your life so far, and it's parallel to Dom and I, and I'm going to out him a little bit, but I think you might be okay with it. You were getting games from EB Games. Dominic and I, once upon a time, worked for GameStop, which was, I think, eventually...
It is EB Games,
once upon a time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And before that was Funko Land. So we're all too familiar with the hey, I just bought this $50 game. Oh, we'll give you $3 for it. We love that.
Pretty much.
That paradigm. And have to keep a straight face while you're saying it too. Like, so that's a great little parallel there. So you went to school for CS. While you're at school, what was your interaction as far as gaming? Was it just straight up studies, or I mean, at least for when I was at uni, it was more. We had kids, I mean, just lumped up together doing LAN parties, for Halo and stuff like that, or just World of Warcraft or whatever. What was your experience with gaming?
I was really strong into like Dota 2, if you know that game.
Look at Dom's face. Yeah,
I did have a little bit of I did have a little bit of console going on, because I was doing a lot of like Kijiji. I don't know if you know what Kijiji is. Kijiji is like kind of
trading software, I think.
Trading site. So you could put your stuff that you want to sell online, and people would buy it. It's I think you have Craigslist here in the US, right? Like that.
Right.
So we had one that's called Kijiji, and I was a pretty strong reseller on Kijiji. So I would buy bulk items from people, like a whole console set with like 50 games and a bunch of controllers, and then I would sell them separately to make a few bucks for living at university and stuff. So
wow.
And that's and then I always had a bunch of consoles on me at all times. I had like, I don't know, 6 Xboxes, 6 PlayStations. So I was a lot into gaming. Yeah, I traded TVs even. TVs and phones. I had all the phones, iPhones, Blackberries, Samsungs. I think Nokia was pretty strong back then too. So I was really into the whole, reselling of electronics online. in my university years, and during that time, I played a lot of, I guess, Call of Duty early on, and then I went from Call of Duty to Dota, and then I started playing a lot of Dota, and then from now, I guess nowadays I play League. So unfortunately, unfortunately, one is a little bit more toxic than the other, and I'm sure we all know which one. But
there's only like 2 games that I'm currently aware of where anybody says they're playing it and then they go, unfortunately, after that. It's Rocket League and Fortnite. And unfortunately, I play Fortnite, so I know exactly what you're saying.
I played it a bit. I played Fortnite when it was pretty popular, but I moved more into League now. But yeah, I would say it was mostly, I had like a very strange schedule with gaming. I would be the type that's I'm really productive in the morning, so I'd wake up pretty early, like 6 o'clock or so, and I'd grind till about 12, and then from there, I just game all day after that, pretty much. So that's like during exam time. So it would be like, grinding out 8 to 10 hours of studying, and then I would reward myself with, relaxation, free time until I went to bed, and I just did that for about 2 weeks because we had some time to prepare for exams, and then just went to the exam and pretty much knew what I was doing. So that's how it goes.
Awesome. Well, Dominic, I'm sorry for hogging all the air, so feel free to jump in. I know I can be a gas bag when it comes to talking. So.
No, not at all. No, you're talking about Dota and talking about League of Legends, and like my life flashed before my eyes because I played like 3 games of League, and it was like the most toxic experience I've ever had. But like, I mean, I came from World of Warcraft and Call of Duty and Destiny 2, so there's not much. Yeah. There's not much difference there when it comes to toxic.
And we're Star Wars fans to boot, right?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, my biggest interest in kind of what you've done and what you're building right now is, the keyboard and mouse industry as of late, has become very much like sneakers, like specific, not widely released sneakers where when a drop happens on the sneakers app or before, Kanye West got dropped by Adidas, you were fighting bots, you were fighting resellers, you were fighting against other people who wanted the sneakers, and the peripheral side of things in the gaming space has been a lot like that as of late with, companies like Final Mouse, companies like Wooting, Glorious, where their drops, I mean, the resale on those is insane. I mean, the Wooting 70HE, that analog keyboard, like, I mean, it's $180 keyboard that resells on eBay for $800 brand new. I mean, what do you think of that? The booming part of that, and was that part of your motivation for kind of jumping into this? Was kind of seeing how that landscape is changing and how you kind of wanted to get your foot in really at the beginning of it when the pandemic happened?
I didn't really think of it and see it in that manner. I more thought of it in the sense of, personally, what do I want? What do I want to see in the community? So I do understand there's some hype built up for some products, whether it's valid or not, for what you're getting. But for me, it's more like I want to give kind of the customers a voice to say, hey, we wanted XYZ. Like, for example, I hate 60% keyboards. I would never use myself. But everybody at the time of our release loves 60% keyboards. So I took the time to do some research and understand, like, what are the pros and cons, what are people looking for. I reached out to the community on TikTok. I asked them, like, hey, what do you guys want? Do you guys want this? Do you guys want that? They wanted, like, hot swap ability. They wanted wireless. They wanted the ability to put their own cable. They wanted the ability to have a good starting switch inside the keyboard. So yeah, we built it based on that. We released 4 designs for them to, from, and they were all high quality, like PBT caps. Like on our regular keyboards, we use just regular standard keycap, ABS keycaps. But for the Ven Mini, we took the time to give them like high quality PBT keycaps, yellow Gatoron switches, which are really popular and hard to get. And they're not very expensive, but they can be if they're not like at the time, because it wasn't available because everybody wanted it. And then we even have software and everything. So we tried our best to what people are suggesting, and if there's enough behind it, then we would try to plan around using something. And that's kind of how we operated from the start. We started off first with like, yeah.
I was just going to ask, because I'm a layperson. Again, I started this because I don't know shit, right? When you said 60% keyboard, you're saying just this side here with my little pinky wiggling, right? That's 60%. Yeah, that's what I'm asking. And if you'll notice, I am covering this logo because there's no free ads, okay? Take that, you huge conglomerates. We support local. But no, that's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. It's like 60%. Something going like, we don't like the top row of keys?
No.
F
keys, they don't like arrow keys, they don't like numpad, nothing. So it's hard for me because I work and game, so I need all, and I use numpad a lot for the numbers. And, I just like having a little bit of, substance to what I have. And I feel like that's like almost getting like a Prius rather than getting like, like a big truck, for example. So
right.
I don't care for it, but I feel like there's a lot of people who do. So it made sense to invest time, effort, and quality into giving them something that they would appreciate. So that's kind of how we do our business, and that was the purpose behind us releasing our brand, is to give customers a voice, because that's what I felt when I wanted to go into the space. I felt like, the companies are just essentially trying to make money off of us. Like hot swappability is out there, it's been out there, but what do? They solder in the switches so that if one key breaks, you have to buy a new keyboard. It's a business tactic, right? So
yeah.
Wouldn't you want it so that if one key broke, you would be able to, hey, I'll order some switches, I'll pop it out, new one in,
for sure.
Done. There you go. But that's why they're companies that make a lot of money, and they're companies that, they need a little bit more time to grow. So
I think it's funny that you talked about the difference, like 60% keyboards, because like I'm recently a convert to 60%, but only for like first person shooters, and that's it. Like I have my TKL that I have for work and my normal use, and even when I'm playing an MMO, but like specifically for playing first person shooters. And the only game that I play mouse and keyboard on for first person shooters is Destiny. I really like how small this is, because I can kind of like turn it to the side, and it makes things a little bit comfortable. But I'm completely with you. Like I was a full size for a long time, like 10 key and everything, especially when I was programming, because if I had to type a bunch of numbers or anything, like trying to do that on the top row sucks. But no, that's I thought that was funny, because I was looking at your website a couple of days ago, and I was like, yeah, they really like highlight not 60%, which is a lot of what other companies are just highlighting right now, is that. But so how many keyboards have you built? That's my question. How many have you built? What's your favorite switch?
Or just in general?
Just to have like your personal. What's your personal collection look like these days?
I honestly one. I'm a very functional type of guy. I only use my keyboard because if I don't believe in my product, I won't use it. So I just I customize the switches in it fits my needs. So like I have the full size keyboard, but clicky switches in it, so that because I like clicky switches and I have my own space.
Yeah.
But if I was in the office, obviously I would use the silent switches, which is what it comes with. So we do a little bit of research to see like who would be the preferred customer for these types of products. It's probably people who have a job, like me. So we would pretty much want something a little silent if we ever had to go into the office.
So that leads me to a nice question, I think, and it kind of goes back to the start of all this. So you went to uni, you graduated, I'm assuming, with computer science. You got a job, and is this on top of your 9 to 5? Like you're able to?
Yep.
I mean, granted, we're doing this now on top of our 9 to 5, so I totally understand how you can operate a business outside of your regular workday. That's crazy. I mean, what days do you like? Do you sleep just on Sunday and you're just up all the time for the other 6 days of the week? Like, how does that work for a work-life balance?
I mean, I try to find ways to allocate things like fulfillment. Before, I used to fulfill my own products, and it would take me forever to get them out because I'd have to do it on my free time. But now I have Amazon doing that for me, so I click a button and it sends it off. So
cool.
Those are the things, and the only thing that really consumes time really is social media, because we do our own social media, so we have no marketing. Marketing is coming from our social media, so we just do our own thing, push out our own content. So that's kind of how with regards to the time it takes. But I would say I sleep probably 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day. Not too bad.
All right, I knew you weren't human. I mean, I think they call it it's the same. I'm gonna nerd out. This is the same sleep style that supposedly Batman uses. It's called the Ubermensch sleep cycle. They sleep in little bits of a time, that kind of thing. But no, I respect it, and that actually kind of dovetails a little bit back into the article I was able to find about your words, that your wife was part of the inspiration for you getting in and starting Venatos. Like what did that conversation go like? Where was it either like, hey, I want to, because I think it was real estate that you were looking about getting into, you get your license. How did that conversation come about? You're like, God, I hate selling houses, but I love gaming. Like, how did that sparring match or conversation go?
Well, with regards to real estate, I hadn't been licensed at that time yet. I just got licensed when I came to the States. With regards to real estate, it is more like I like buying and renting and building a little bit of assets. So that's just like something I do on the side. But me and her, we were kind of just having a conversation. Like, hey, I want to start my own business. I was very inspired by the things I've done in the past. I'm very business oriented, and she's along the same lines, and if not more structural than me. And I'm more a little chaotic. I don't really keep track of stuff, and she's like more along the lines of, hey, let's get everything official. Let's everything. We even registered our business. We incorporated it in Canada. We even we took out patent against our name and our branding. So nice. That's something that I personally would have probably not done, but thanks to her and the way she, that kind of led to that. And it was more of like, I want to do something. What should I do? How to do it? And we sat down and came up with the name Venatos, like both of us together, and we kind of planned everything out. So that's essentially what was meant by that.
I love that. I think any successful relationship probably has the dreamer and then the realist, right? And that makes the yin and the yang of any good relationship. I unfortunately am the dreamer. Like, nothing but possibilities in front of me. My wife loves to just kind of go shh and smother me with realist, and what really can work and what can't work. So I appreciate her in that. So the name Venatos, and I'm curious around like the stag that is on your logo. Like, where did that come from? And I think even in that same article you mentioned having a previous name that might not have worked in the marketplace. What did that conversation look like? Dom and I, we've been through many years together in our friendship, and trying to name things is probably the hardest thing on the planet. Getting buy-in from, let alone just yourself on a name, but everybody else you're working with, like, I'm curious how that went down and why'd you land on Venatos?
I mean, that's a cool name too. Sounds like a Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Venatos. Well, I'm very into rustic. Like, I love the rustic theme. And in my old game room when I was in Ottawa, I had like old barnwood that I had affixed to the walls. So I was very into the whole kind of like the Texas style theme, the old Texas style theme. That's kind of like my style in general. And then we wanted to look for names that were suitable that made sense. So we were looking at, I mean, English is very difficult because everything is taken. So we started looking at Latin, and Latin is like a good secondary because, you know, it's just an offset of English in my opinion. But so we went with like to be sought for, to be wanted, to be, you know, something like that, something that's desirable. So we were looking around the lines of that, and Venatos actually is, I think it's like to be hunted, something like that. So like when you so then and that's where the
chills, man.
That's where the stag came from. That's where the stag came from, because of, you know, usually when you're out hunting, you would go for the deer or, so yeah,
the prey. Totally good.
The prey, yeah. So put that as the logo, and then we redesigned it. Actually, a TikToker who has about 3 or 4 million followers, he redesigned our logo and the whole theme of that. So we turned it from the stag to the modern one.
V, right? Yeah, I like
that
V.
It's like a, well, it's still it's still representative of the stag because it's like a beast. But it's like a, without all the details, I would say.
Awesome. Dominic, what questions do you have for him next? Looking through,
yeah, no, I
we've
mean,
got a list here. Try to make sure we get them all.
Yeah, no, I think we hit a good chunk of them. I'm really interested. I've been kind of perusing your website and looking at pulling the trigger, because like I said, I've been interested in mechanical keyboards for many years. You know, I think I've passed down keyboards to not only Mike, who's one of our partners and friends and all that, and I've just bought a bunch of keyboards and mice. You know, and I'm really excited about diving in and purchasing some of your products and doing kind of my first build, because I've never actually built one before.
Well, these are pre-built. They come standard as you would buy them from a store. So, but the
you can
cool
still
thing,
buy ancillary keys, right, and customize it to your favorite schematic.
yeah. So if you're getting like a 60%, it's a mechanical keyboard that's hot swappable. So you can take any switch off the market that has 3 pins. There's like 5 pins, 3 pin, 2 pin, whatever. So you get the ones that have 3 pins, and you put that into the keyboard. But with the full size keyboard, they're optical switches and they're hot swappable. And there's a very, very small number of companies that offer optical switches because they're a bit of a new technology.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only get these particular switches from our site. So we only have 2 available right now.
Wow.
One is silent, one is clicky. So the keycap sets are always adjustable. You know, the colors and all of that. You can get whatever puddings. There's ones that are printed, and then there are ABS and PBTs. So yeah,
that
you don't
pink and white mini. Look, he's calling my name. The pink and white mini, the Ven Mini.
Yeah,
that's a pretty keyboard. I'm probably gonna end up pulling the trigger on that one here pretty soon. I see that you're getting into the mice game too. Any plans to do a wireless version of your current platform one?
We're hoping in the next year we'll release a wireless mouse. We did buy samples, but there were some issues with the sensor and the battery, so we may have to switch out suppliers and manufacturers to get it something a little bit better. But we do have the swap Pro. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a wired mouse, but it uses a paracord. I have mine here. It's a little dirty, but so it's
we
the
don't judge.
The paracord cable is like very flexible, so like you don't really feel it.
Right.
It's almost like a wireless. And technically speaking, I mean, having a paracord cable or having a cable on your mouse is probably better so that there's no lag time. But
Right.
overall, I mean, with the new technology, it's becoming more, I mean, less and less, I guess, apparent as to like the lag time, so you don't see it or feel it as much. But and then we do have like cool, like remember when I was telling you like we focus a lot on being able to pop things out. So hopefully we'll be working towards like switches in the mouse in the future. Like the clickiness, like this. You can take these out and put new ones, because these only last 20 million clicks each, and from the last 50, I think now. This was released years ago. And then we have like the ability to pop this guy out, and then switch it with a solid cover, and same with the. So, like on here, you can switch these out on both sides. So we may try to keep it the same type of concept for the wireless one, if and when that does. But I'm trying to see if we can get also the switches themselves to be swapped out, so that there's a bit more customization.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have recently gotten into the mouse game. I have a few. I use like a MMO mouse to play Warcraft, and then I have like a super light mouse for
shooters and stuff.
Yeah, for shooters and such. And I mean, honestly, like I had most recently switched off of controller. Like I was playing controller on PC for a really long time, and then my buddy that I play with pretty regularly was like, "Just give mouse and keyboard a try." And he's like, "You're relying on aim assist, and that's why. Just give mouse and keyboard a try." So I gave mouse and keyboard. Pretty much packed up. I had a Scuff Instinct Pro controller. I packed it up, and I went full keyboard and mouse over the last 3 months. And yeah, it's a night and day. It's way better. I'd never realized how much better it is.
Really tough. It's really tough to play against people who have a keyboard.
Yeah,
when you're using a controller,
the movement
is real. Yeah, even though you have aim assist, it's just as good as real reflexes.
Yeah. So
I did have one quick question, in particular for the RGBs I saw on your mouse, right? So I've heard recently, obviously everybody's got their own flavor of software that manages the RGBs. What are your thoughts on things like Open RGB that help manage? If you just so happen to have a different product that also has RGB LEDs and syncing them up, do you? When you're setting up your products, is that something in mind, or what are your thoughts?
I think I need to do a little bit more research into Open RGB, because during the time of releasing these products, I wasn't too familiar with it, and then I've become a little bit accustomed to like what it is. But in order to like apply it to our products, I think I need to do a little bit more research and see how compatible our products are with it and what it takes to get it all set up. So once we get that sorted out, then we may, if it's something that helps the consumer, it's probably a shot.
Nice. Yeah, and it's funny. Like I was saying that, and I'm like, yeah, but you're also a developer. Like you're the guy who could probably create that software patch to make that work.
It depends on what that is.
You're the source, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then my last question, and feel free to Dom to ask as many as you want. But my one big question I wanted to know is, how is it going with, obviously as you're expanding your product line, you're getting more sales, more people are getting more items from you. How is customer service going, and how are you managing, that when it comes to not just returns or whatever, but at scale, the volume of people asking potentially questions or giving feedback?
Well, our return rate is actually quite. We usually ask for video. Like for example, if someone has an issue, we ask for of what the issue is, and we try to resolve it. We communicate with our manufacturer, go back and forth to see, hey, what's the issue? How can we resolve it? And usually we get an answer. It's probably something, that like FN plus X or Y or whatever, and that fixes the problem. And they just, maybe they pressed it by accident and figure out how to undo it. So that's usually what ends up being an issue. With regards to the product itself being turned due to faultiness, it's like I get one maybe once every 6 months, so it's not really much issue, I would say.
Yeah.
With regards to returns and stuff, usually if they have a problem and it's really something that is a manufacturer issue, we just replace it on the spot. Say, hey, it's within 1 year warranty. Let's just replace the product. That's it. And usually the questions we get are mostly related to how they can work with us, right? And we try to work with everybody, but there's such a long list of small creators that really want to build their brand, and it's tough to be able to take time to work with every single person, but we try our best. As if at least they're along the line, hey, I'm building a tech review channel, we try to give them a shot. Give them a product to say, hey, give me your thoughts on whatever it is. I don't want them to say anything. Why? I want them to give me their honest opinion, because that in turn helps us fix whatever the issue is, right? So we rely on like honest views. We don't really like to do the whole paid ad, because we don't want people to put words in people's mouths if they don't agree with. We want it to be a genuine, because that would help us overall grow as a brand, to say, hey, we have the best product, and we'd be able to back it up, because these are honest opinions. We've never paid for an opinion, so that's
and I think that speaks to you mentioned a couple of times that you're actually trying out these different components from the manufacturer before it even goes out, right? So it's not something that you're just trusting somebody to do. You're hands on, feeling the texture of it, clicking around, understanding the sensors are failing, and then you even just already mentioned having to potentially switch a manufacturer because of the wireless mouse and its sensor quality. So that to me speaks volumes. And even though you've got such a large line, that even just having the ability and the foresight to actually touch it, feel it, and then guarantee it based on your own preference. That's great.
Yeah, I use everything that I offer, so I always go through the whole run, make sure I use it for a couple months, and I also let other people test it out and see what their thoughts are on it. I get honest feedback as to whether this product work with our brand or not, because we don't want to put our name on it that's faulty or not really good. So
yeah. And nobody wants to see, what Gal Gadot got caught doing, where she had, was it a paid ad for Samsung, and she was tweeting about Samsung from an iPhone. It was like tweeted from iPhone under her Samsung ad. So nobody does that, but that's too funny.
Funny.
Dom, what other questions do you have for Hasan?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I'm excited about your product. I love the scheme, the logo, the coloring, all of that kind of speaks to me. That neo-pop wave that you have in there with the pastel colors and the neon colors, that's like right up my alley. Like, I love that shit so much. I think that this market really is just kind of at the beginning, and it's booming at this point. What I get, my last question is like, where do you see yourself in the esports world? Do you see you looking at sponsoring teams in the future with your products? Do you see expanding past keyboard and mice to audio equipment like headphones and microphones? What's the end state look like for you? What does, if at the end of the day that you've been 100% successful, what does that look like?
Well, we really wanted to go for like the full desktop build, so we were thinking, hey, we'll start with peripherals, we'll move into monitor, I move into chairs, headsets, obviously, and then eventually go into the desktop itself and build the case, build components. So that's kind of what we were, the path that we were trying to achieve, right? Is to be a full brand where you could have everything Venatos, the mouse all the way down to the desktop. So that would be on my personal on where I would see myself as successful. That's where we would be at once we hit those milestones.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I built my first desktop during the pandemic, which was the worst time to build a desktop, because I think I spent like $1,700 on a 2080 Ti, which was wild. Like, I mean, the 3000 series are out, and I'm spending $1,700. Like, I built a desktop, and I've recently upgraded it. I put a new video card in it. I put new RAM in it. Even though the 2080 Ti was great, I wanted a 3000 series because I needed to see that 2.1 because I run everything through an OLED TV. But those boutique companies that do pre-builds and build outs, I mean, those are becoming more and more popular, and you take great care in your product. The quality kind of speaks for itself. It looks nice. It looks like you've put a lot of thought into it, and I could see that possibly translating into a case and fans and a full build out that you have that would set you apart from the other competitors, because you kind of get a mixed bag when it comes to the pre-built market. Like, you either get like some shitters, like the company that kind of went defunct after.
Call some people out, Dom.
No, I can't remember the name of the company. There was a build company that like went out of business and like had to file Chapter 11. Like, it was bad. Like, I remember it was on Twitter. But then you get some really good companies that have really kind of taken that step up. So it's exciting to hear that's your end goal, because a lot of companies would just be happy with, hey, we're making some keyboards and we're making some mice, and it's doing really well. But you kind of want that whole experience of walking in and sitting at your desk, that everything is by Venatos and has your logo everywhere and your coloring everywhere. So that's really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Well, we definitely can't wait to get our hands on your gear. I know, Dom's already mentioned it. I just love the sound and feeling of like a buttery keyboard, and it sounds like that's exactly what you produce. So I really appreciate your time. Do you have any questions for us while we wrap up?
I guess what kind of are you guys looking to other tech channels or tech brands?
Right now we're just trying to get our foot back in. For me personally, my vision is just trying to get back and talk to everybody in the market, right? This interview is more about trying to get to know you, get to know the Venatos brand, and that's however we do that, whether it's through talking to streamers or manufacturers like yourself. It's just trying to give everybody even kick and try to really refresh my mind on what's going on in gaming, TV, comic books, and movies. So we're all across the board. If it's got a fandom, we usually find it, So
that's great. And just one last thing, like, how did you guys find me? Is it just through TikTok, YouTube?
It was Instagram. Our Instagram channel. We started our channel 3 years ago, almost, probably around the same couple of months after you started Venatos, and you popped up, and I just loved what the products you were doing, and I could see the cadence that you guys were putting out content. It wasn't like, here's a post and 3 weeks later here's another post, much like our site and our Instagram. That's my fault. I'm head of marketing, so I kind of definitely fall short on that. But no, you guys had a great cadence. I could see that it was a fresh brand. It wasn't fake. It was definitely something that was having enough content come out because there was something going on there, right? You could see through your post the authenticity. It wasn't just, hey, here's a bunch of money that we got and we're just spending it on marketing. Like, no, this is definitely a boutique shop that's looking to grow, and I love that beginning part of the process. So that's where I started with you guys back in 2020. So But here we are, a little bit later, a little bit more mature. So I felt the courage to reach out. So I'm glad you responded.
Awesome. Thank you.
Very well. Cool.
Yeah, thank you for
joining us. Yeah.
How's the last thing, real quick? How's the weather out there? I mean, I know Texas got destroyed by the ice. Did you kind of miss it?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
I know that.
We're good up here. We got so much humidity. We probably avoided it from that. It's
good.
Oh, nice.
What are you guys are in the States, right? No,
Yeah,
so-
I'm in Maryland.
Okay,
I'm
so
Virginia,
probably
so we're right there.
40s.
Okay.
Oh wow. All right.
40s,
Yeah, for Texas,
50s.
I guess that's pretty cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cold, but so in Canada, that's like nothing.
It was 13
Oh,
this
yeah.
morning when I woke up. So it's cold as hell when I woke up.
13.
Yeah, exactly. 13's like, ooh, for you guys. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
no, that's what.
happy.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and the dog wanted to go out, and I was like, "Oh no, it is way too cold."
Over there, it's like what minus 30, minus 40.
What?
There was like I saw a video yesterday of a mountain in New Hampshire where the wind chill was minus 100, which is wild. That's like the ice age.
No thanks. I'll pass.
Yeah. I'm a hairy dude, man, but there's not enough hair on my body for that.
There's not enough hair on anybody's body from minus 100. What do you mean, woolly mammoths?
Chewbacca, maybe. But awesome. Thank you, Hasan. Dominic, I love you as always, man. We'll see you guys next time. If you guys have any questions or you want to follow up on Hasan, he's at venatos.com. You can check him out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, you're all over the place, right? And if you even at Discord, dude, you
have a Discord.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again. Talk
No
to you guys
problem.
later.
Take care. Bye, guys.